Every single day, factories around the world produce enough Nutella to cover the entire Great Wall of China. Not once, not twice, but more than 1,000 times over. One jar every 2.5 seconds. That's not a typo. Somewhere right now, a machine is moving faster than your eyes can follow, filling jars with that smooth, dark, impossibly perfect chocolate spread. And almost nobody knows what actually happens inside those walls. What you're about to see isn't what Ferrero wants you to think about when you twist open that lid. This is the real process, the industrial truth. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Welcome to Infusions and Elements, where we take you inside the factories, the machines, and the processes that make the products you use every single day. If that's the kind of content that blows your mind, subscribe right now, because we're just getting started. The question nobody asks. You've eaten Nutella, maybe hundreds of times, but have you ever stopped and thought, how does something this smooth, this consistent, this perfectly textured, come out of a factory at millions of jars per week? It doesn't just happen. There's a system behind it. A precise, almost obsessive industrial operation that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in facilities so tightly controlled that even the air temperature is monitored. And it all starts somewhere you wouldn't expect. Not with chocolate, not with sugar. It starts in a forest. The hazelnut origin. Nutella is, at its core, a hazelnut product. About 72 hazelnuts go into every single 400-gram jar. Ferrero is the single largest buyer of hazelnuts on the entire planet. They consume roughly 25% of the world's annual hazelnut supply. That's not a market share. That's a monopoly on a nut. Most of these hazelnuts come from Turkey, the Giresun and Trabzon regions, where the climate creates a flavor profile that Ferrero's quality team has spent decades locking in. When the harvest season arrives, Ferrero doesn't just buy whatever's available. Their sourcing teams are already on the ground, working with farmers months in advance. The hazelnuts are harvested, sun-dried, and then shipped in massive quantities to Ferrero's processing facilities. And the moment they arrive, the real factory magic begins. Stage 1. Cleaning and roasting. The raw hazelnuts enter the facility still rough, still imperfect. They go through an industrial cleaning system first. High-speed vibrating screens and air blowers separate the shells, dust, and any debris that survived the journey. Only the cleanest, most uniform hazelnuts move forward. Then comes roasting. This is where flavor is born. The hazelnuts enter massive rotating drum roasters, industrial machines that maintain exact temperatures with almost zero margin for error. Too low, and the flavor stays flat. Too high, and bitterness creeps in. Ferrero has spent years dialing in the exact roast profile. The temperature, the time, the airflow. It's all calibrated to pull out that specific deep, warm, slightly sweet nuttiness you recognize the moment you open a jar. After roasting, the hazelnuts are cooled rapidly to stop the process at exactly the right moment. Then they're deskinned. The thin, papery skin around each nut is removed using friction-based machines that tumble the nuts at high speed until the skins peel away cleanly. What's left is a pale, fragrant, perfectly roasted hazelnut, ready to become something else entirely. Stage 2. Grinding into paste. Here's where things get seriously industrial. The roasted hazelnuts are fed into high-capacity grinding mills. These aren't kitchen blenders. These are continuous industrial grinders, machines that apply enormous mechanical pressure to break down the cellular structure of the nut. First pass, coarse grinding, the nuts are crushed into rough hazelnut pieces. Second pass, fine grinding. The pressure increases. The temperature rises naturally from friction. The hazelnut oil, naturally present inside every nut, begins to release. By the third and fourth grinding pass, what was a solid nut has transformed into something almost liquid. A smooth, flowing, amber-colored hazelnut paste. The texture at this stage is already remarkable. Silky, warm, dense with natural oils. But this is only the beginning of the recipe. Stage 3. The chocolate component. Nutella isn't just hazelnuts, it's a carefully balanced formula. Cocoa powder and cocoa mass are introduced into the process. Ferrero sources cocoa from multiple origins, blending varieties to hit a consistent flavor target that never changes, regardless of season or geography. The cocoa goes through its own processing line. It's refined, mixed, and prepared to integrate seamlessly with the hazelnut paste. Here's something most people don't realize. Nutella uses both skim milk powder and sugar in significant quantities. Sugar, in fact, is the first ingredient by weight. It plays a structural role. Not just sweetness, but texture, stability, and shelf life. All these components, hazelnut paste, cocoa, sugar, skim milk powder, palm oil, and a small amount of vanilla, come together in massive industrial mixing tanks. These tanks aren't just stirring the ingredients. They're creating an emulsion. A stable, uniform blend where every molecule of fat and sugar and protein is integrated at a microscopic level. This is what creates that impossibly smooth texture. It's not luck, it's chemistry. Stage 4. Refining the hidden step. Most people skip past this stage when they think about chocolate production. But this is arguably the most important step in the entire process. The mixed Nutella mass enters a series of industrial refiners, massive steel rollers that press the mixture through incredibly tight gaps. Some systems use 5-roll refiners, where each roller is smoother and tighter than the last. The goal is particle size reduction. At this stage, you could still feel tiny grains of sugar or cocoa if you put the mixture on your tongue. The human palate can detect particles above around 20 microns in size. Ferrero needs to get below that threshold. The rollers press and stretch and fold the mixture until the particle size drops to approximately 15 to 20 microns or less, below the level of human detection. That's the science behind why Nutella feels like it melts on your tongue the moment it touches it. It's not magic. It's precision engineering at a scale most people never think about. Stage 5. Conching and temperature control. After refining, the mixture enters the conching phase. Conching is a process borrowed from premium chocolate manufacturing. The refined mixture is continuously agitated in large industrial conchas, machines that fold, aerate, and work the mass for extended periods of time. This step does 2 critical things. First, it drives off unwanted volatile acids that can make chocolate taste harsh or bitter. Second, it develops the final flavor profile. The agitation encourages chemical reactions between the ingredients that build complexity and depth in the taste. While conching happens, temperature is carefully controlled. The fat, primarily from hazelnuts and palm oil, needs to remain fluid enough to blend perfectly, but the temperature can't get so high that it damages the flavor compounds already developed during roasting. The result of conching is a Nutella mass that's now very close to the final product. Smooth, aromatic, perfectly balanced in sweetness and bitterness, but there's still one critical stage left before it ever reaches a jar. If you've been watching this far and you're genuinely fascinated by what happens inside these factories, hit subscribe right now. Every week, we go deeper inside the industrial processes that make the products you use every single day. Stage 6. Tempering and preparation for filling. Before Nutella can be jarred, the finished mass needs to be brought to a precise temperature for filling. Unlike solid chocolate, Nutella doesn't go through traditional tempering to create crystal structures, but temperature control during the filling stage is still critical. The mass is held in large heated storage tanks, constantly agitated to prevent separation, and fed through insulated pipelines to the filling lines. These pipelines are a manufacturing marvel in themselves. They maintain exact temperature across hundreds of meters of industrial floor space, ensuring that every jar receives Nutella at exactly the same consistency. Too warm and the product fills unevenly. Too cool and the viscosity increases, slowing the line and creating inconsistencies. The margin for error is less than 2 degrees Celsius. Stage 7, the filling line. Now you're at the part that looks like science fiction. The empty jars arrive on a high-speed conveyor system. They've already been cleaned and inspected. Any jar with even a microscopic defect is rejected before it ever reaches the filling station. The filling machines are volumetric piston fillers. They draw an exact measured amount of Nutella from the holding tank and deposit it into each jar in a fraction of a second. These machines can fill over 200 jars per minute on a single line. 200 jars every 60 seconds. That's 3 jars per second. And the filling is so precise that the weight variance between jars is less than 1 gram. After filling, the jars move to the capping station. The iconic white lids are applied with calibrated torque, tight enough to create an airtight seal, but engineered so that a person can open it without a tool. Then foil sealing, then labeling, then date coding. Each step happens in seconds. The line never stops. The quality control system. At multiple points throughout the facility, samples are pulled from the production line and sent to the on-site laboratory. Viscosity is measured, particle size is verified, moisture content is checked, color is analyzed against a reference standard under controlled lighting. Human tasters are part of this process too. Trained sensory analysts evaluate batches against Ferrero's master flavor profile, the same standard that's been maintained since the product was first commercialized. If anything falls outside the acceptable range, that entire production batch is held. It doesn't move forward until the issue is resolved. This is why a jar of Nutella bought in Tokyo tastes identical to one bought in London or Sao Paulo. The control systems are that tight. The scale of it all. Let's talk about numbers for a moment, because the scale of Nutella production is genuinely difficult to comprehend. Ferrero operates factories in over 20 countries. The main production facilities run continuously, day and night, every day of the year, with only brief shutdowns for maintenance. Globally, Ferrero produces approximately 365,000 tons of Nutella per year. That's over 1 billion jars. To supply that volume, they require so many hazelnuts that they've invested directly in agricultural programs in Turkey, Chile, South Africa, and Australia, working to increase global hazelnut supply just to meet their own demand. And the jar itself? That distinctive shape is protected. The design is engineered for grip, for storage, for shelf visibility, and for the way it feels in your hand when you're standing at the kitchen counter at midnight, pretending you're just going to have a small spoonful. That jar of Nutella sitting in your kitchen? It didn't happen by accident. It's the result of hazelnuts, selected by sourcing teams working in Turkish forests, industrial grinders running at pressures that would crush solid steel, refiners pressing the mixture through tolerances measured in microns, conching tanks running for hours, temperature control systems accurate to fractions of a degree, filling machines depositing perfect portions at 3 jars per second. Every step is engineered, every variable is controlled, every jar is identical to the last. What looks like a simple chocolate spread in a glass jar is actually one of the most precisely manufactured food products on the planet. And now you know exactly how it's made. If this blew your mind, subscribe to Infusions and Elements right now. Every week, we go deeper inside the factories and machines behind the products you never thought twice about. And hey, drop a comment below and tell us at Infusions and Elements, what factory process do you want us to expose next? We read every single one. You don't want to miss what's coming next.